Okay, so I've been having a few issues with my gearboxes lately. Firstly, the stock 2NZ gearbox I blew up doing a couple of skids one night, having a bit of fun, and it shat itself completely. So I found myself a C56 gearbox. I think it was from a Toyota 11, however you want to say it. I think they got a 4AGE, and it's just a 5-speed gearbox with an LSD, which was everything I wanted. So what I had to do there, get that to work, is swap over the bell housing, which is this front piece here, and I had to chop and change a few of the linkages, the cable bracket things here that shift the gears, and also the thing that holds the cable in place as well. I had to move this one here forward a bit more. Anyway, so the 56 at this stage, from what we can tell, the diff bearings have sort of collapsed. I first started noticing issues with it. I'd be accelerating. It's the speed limit. I would hold the accelerator, just feather it on there to maintain a speed, and I'd let off the accelerator and my speed would be jumping around. Not the placement of the speed on the speedo, just the speed itself. So it might read 26, 43, 19, 5, that type of thing. So after a while of that, I thought there might have been an issue with the speed sensor. I thought that's what the issue was, but then I started to smell the gearbox oil, okay? So that was alarm bells right there. I took it into a mate's workshop, and what he believes is the case, or what it's more likely to be, is diff bearings. There's something that's let go in there. So what I think is happening is when I'm holding the speed, the diff and the final drive, or whatever it is there, is running true, so that the speed sensor can actually get a reading. And then once I let off, because there's no power or nothing being given to it, it's sort of, starting to fish around a bit there. So she still runs and drives. I drove her 2 days ago. I've been really slack. I've had this sitting here for a while now, but it's time I got into this. So what I've got here is just another stock 2NZ gearbox, manual, no LSD because it's a 6-bolt diff and they're rare as hen's teeth, as they say. So what I'm going to do is pull this apart, weld the front wheel drive differential, and slap it back together, pull out the C56 hybrid that's in the Echo at the moment, and see how long this lasts me while I fix the C56, because I'm quite happy with the LSD. There's a lot of reasons why you probably shouldn't in front wheel drive and a rear wheel drive, but one of the big things with the front wheel drive is probably your CVs bending, especially them being as small as these ones are. Not so much bending, it's sort of like twisting, because the wheels are supposed to spin at different speeds to turn corners, and if they're spinning at the same speed, one of them's getting a bit too much and it's being held in place. I can't really explain it that well, but the end result is twisted CVs. That's what I've got to look forward to. So my plan is to do that to this, chuck it in with that stock motor, get as much as I can out of that stock motor, and then pop in. It's down there, I'm not sure if you can see, but the cheap forged build is down there ready to go. The compression ratio isn't quite what I want. It's a bit low in my opinion, but I think while this gearbox is in the car with the stock motor, I can fix the C56, and those gear ratios should help out a lot with the compression ratio that I've... Alright, so what you really need to do is make sure you get your gearbox. Mine had the CVs in it, and therefore all the oil was still in there. So to drain the oil, take the CVs out, there's probably still a little bit of oil in there because I'm pretty impatient, and it's probably going to spew out once I separate these. You can sort of see there'll be 3 bolts in here which have to come out. Might as well take them out now. Now to do this, you're going to need 12mm and a 14mm and a 12mm spanner as well. I meant 12 and 14mm sockets there. So a really good idea is to have one of these. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's made for rounded bolts. The heads of the bolts, when they get rounded a bit, and you've got to get a special bit. I think that is crucial to do this because where the bolts are, they're in such tight places, it's hard to really get a lot of torque on them to actually crack them first. So what happens there sometimes is you might move off it a little bit and then go to put the torque on there and it spins off and you'll end up rounding them anyway. So this saved me here. Actually, when I was doing the C56 hybrid, I actually ran into that trouble and had to buy these in the end because I'd rounded a couple of them. So I just used this straight away to crack all these ones, and there was no dramas. So you're going to be using that to crack all these, and then it'd be good if I had my rattle gun here, to make light work of this, but I do not. So I'll be doing it the sucker's way. Alright, so I've got those 3 bolts out of there now, so they're not going to be in the way for what I'm about to do. I'm just going to turn it up so that this bell housing here is just sitting flat on the bench, and then we should be able to attack the rest of it fairly easily. I mean, it's still going to be heavy as, but and there's still oil in there. I can see it and smell it, and it's kind of all over the rag that I'm putting over the top here. Yeah, there'll be, how many bolts is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, 13. Okay, there's 13 bolts around the outside that need to come out. And there's 3 inside, so 16 total. Pretty sure they're all the same size. Hopefully you can see what I'm taking out there. Pretty standard. Alright, so the next piece of the puzzle we have to take out in order to get these bell housings separated without taking off the whole back section and pulling gears out, that type of thing. The easy way, or so they say. You need a little Allen key type bit like this, and there's a little spot in here that we're going to need to get loose. Alright, so that might require a bit of force. Again, maybe not. But that's going to need to come out. And what's in there is a little spring and a little ball type thing. So I forget what it does, and I probably was actually wrong in my thoughts as to what it did, but either way I know it's got to come out. If you can sort of see, it might be a little bit difficult, but I'll just pull it out as I go and I'll show you. It might be a little bit tight. There's a little sleeve, and there's a spring. The spring goes in the sleeve, obviously. That's my torque wrench, probably not a good idea. What a good tool to have is a little magnet on a little coily type flexi thing. Anyway, you push it in like a syringe type of thing, and the magnet comes out. I found that very useful for plenty of things to do with this gearbox. So I'd definitely invest in one before doing this. That ball doesn't really want to come out though. There it is. See the ball there? If I just... That's the second last thing we need to undo before we can actually separate these two, but we'll get to that. What we need to do is just try to separate these now, and we should be able to get it to a point where it's sort of... See that? Where it can sort of just lift off a little bit, and see if I can't jam that in there. And then just slowly work my way around. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I've got it separated from the silicone that was been holding the 2 parts together now. Which is going to allow me to get into a tight little spot in order, so I can get the reverse gear selector out. It's held in by 2 12mm bolts, and they're very awkward to get out. Even more awkward to get back in, and it is a real pain in the ass to do. It's the same for the C154 as well if you decide to do the hybrid swap. The only thing is you have to use the reverse gear selector from the C154 box, and that bolts to the... Okay, I'll explain it a little bit better. The reverse gear selector is bolted to the bell housing. So when you do the C154, you're going to have to get the C156's gear selector, the reverse gear selector, take it off the C156 bell housing, which is what you'll be doing to separate them anyway, and then putting it onto the C154's bell housing, you know what I mean? But when you do that, you can't just put it on and whack it together. You sort of got to have them together, then put it on. Really arse about face, really annoying, but rewarding. So hopefully this can help you out in any way. You see all that oil? That's the oil I didn't drain. Oh, me tools. Right, you can see we got them separated. They're only going to go so far, so don't try and force it completely open. Just give it a bit of a jiggle. You might actually, In some cases you can just separate them because the reverse gear selector won't actually be locked into place as it should be. Just with if you jiggle it the right amount, it'll be able to come out. But if it doesn't, that's fine. I'll show you what to do. But you're going to have it in the right place to put it back together. So it might be good just to take note of where it all goes. So if I can take it off the bell housing, it should still sit in place on the gearbox side of things. So then I'll be able to come in and swoop in with the camera and get a better angle of it, which I think I might do now, just to show you what I'm talking about. See that 12mm there? That one, along with that one on top there, is what's holding in your reverse gear selector in place. Alright, so we're going to have to get in there with the 12mm spanner and loosen those off a little bit. I'm gonna fly like a lonesome dove. Right, bolts are loose. Just gonna sort of wiggle her apart. The right angle. There we go. Oh no! The reverse gear selector fell out of place. It's a shame. Oops, it's a bit rough. Anyway, there's your bell housing. I'm dripping oil everywhere. I might go find a rag for that. Anyway, here's that thing. What was getting in the way is this part here. As I was trying to undo the bolt that sits in there, I couldn't really bring it tight here because it was hitting this, so I might cut that. So that seems like some old bullshit. I can pull the... Stay. I can pull the diff out. There it is. Front wheel drive differential. Oh, it's filthy glory. So what I'm going to do is weld those together so that they don't spin. Or well, they'll spin but as one instead of, you know, doing that open diff thing. Tell my troubles with you, fade out to a blue mirage. I won't be around at sundown. There's one thing I'll do well, get the hell out of Dodge. Your words are